Dragon Lucky.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. This is episode A0 or AD, not 8D or not 8E, but AD. It's the 161st episode. And reminder, nothing on this show is financial advice. And please stay tuned after the updates for the 3-question AMA. This week, number go up. We have a few things. Probably more than just these, but energy prices, corruption, and redactions. So for Dragonchain updates, we'll go straight into, in case you missed it, there was in the past the tokenized micro license tech brief, which is important considering the SEC case and everything else. So please do review that, try to understand it, and let us know if you have questions or comments or ideas. But one way or another, it's very important to everything that Dragonchain does, as it has been from the very beginning. Next, we'll go to DENDAO.Social updates. And typically, we would have an update for the layer creation process, the LCP. But there is no LCP this week because it was a 5-week month. So the new LCP proposal phase will start Tuesday, September 6th. This week on CoffeeWithDen, it is now DAO, and it's every Wednesday at 9 Eastern Daylight Time and 6 Pacific Daylight Time. Make sure you watch that and get some of their merch, some cool merch. And then the DENDAO meeting, which is a live call, is Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. See the post in the DENDAO layer for an agenda and a link to join live. Do make sure you leave any suggestions for items to add to the agenda so that we know what people want to hear about. And if you're able, you are welcome to join to cover anything about DEN, including mechanics, economics, the system itself, integrations, or ideas. It's a meeting. It's not a show, so don't be shy. Come in and ask your questions and make your comments or give us your ideas. Next, we'll go to the World Blockchain Roundtable update. Episode 67 will be on Thursday, September 1. The topic will be blockchain fundamentals. It's the first selected for the September month for the DAO. Leave a question or a subject to discuss. And if you get your question answered, then you will get some of the lot NFT for the World Blockchain Roundtable layer. Also watch and share last week's episode on Web 1.0 history and limitations, because the more views it gets in its first week, the more lot all of the participants will get. So make sure you share it as well. And there are no active issues in the WBRT DAO. So watch this Thursday at 3 p.m. UTC. That's all the updates. So we'll do an AMA right after this.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, Why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
All right, so we'll get straight to the AMA, refresh the screen. And the first question with 12.9 thousand energy is Jacob Wayne. If one were to learn languages to develop for Den or a similar project, what couple of intro languages would you recommend? And yes, I'm personally interested, but until I figure out how to hire out video editing workflows, I won't have time. Okay, so I would say, I mean, we've been moving everything over to Golang for server side, you know, web services, microservices. It would be, you know, I've not learned Golang myself, but I would like to. And we, you know, we do though have a lot Python. We still have some Den services. I think that might be in Python. We might have moved them all. And then Node is another thing that, although I don't love Node.js, it is pretty resourceful, I guess, and flexible for language. And then on the front end, I believe our entire framework is React. There are some competitors to React, but I don't know market penetration, market share for some of those languages anymore on the front end. But you know, JavaScript itself, obviously, and related stuff, and to know CSS and you know some of the styling stuff is always helpful to make things clean. So anyway, that's some beginning stuff, you know. But you know, Golang, Python, and Node, pretty good stuff. Okay. Let's see here. Hyperion Frequency, Hype Freak. Hey, Joe, is it possible to have a dragon breeding game on Den? Only half kidding. My question is, what utilities can be offered to users in exchange for their tokens besides buying into lairs and applying energy votes? There's a lot, right? I mean, theoretically, when I say theoretically, it's because the community would have to, you know, really commit to doing this, but you could right now integrate NFT gaming into a layer very easily, and it would be all, you know, it might be something that we would want to open source, but there would even be the potential to allow some events or behaviors in a layer to produce things that would be exportable as in NFTs, or even maybe valuable for use inside of Den. That, you know, let's say you have two layers that have similar communities, maybe a badge from one layer would be meaningful in another layer. You know, maybe if you have a badge, you can post in this other layer, that type of thing. You know, so there are a lot of different things you could do. As to breeding, you know, I have a really big interest in that area for a couple of things with entropy and some ways that you can make, let's say, NFT features that would be provably unpredictable when they're minted, things like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff you could do inside of Den, obviously. Let's see here. Talked about having flags or personal banners. How can we increase the value of individual profiles? There's a lot you can do that we have planned there, just to add more fields, both for layers and for personal profiles, and also to, we've talked about it in the past. We haven't talked about it for a while, but I have mentioned that we have a vision to have a personal layer where essentially no matter where you post something, it would treat it as if it were cross-posted in your personal layer, so you could have followers and subscribers and all types of other things that would be more directed towards a person's profile. Anyway, it does make sense. There's a lot there that can be done, and it's the more you can tie behavior to rewards and utility, the more powerful Den will get. So thanks, it's awesome. Next is Hyro. Let's see here. Now, with the leaderboard being spoken about, is there a plan to allow a user to display their ranking or badge on their profile? And how easy would it be to display it externally as an on-chain reputation? So I'll hit the second one first, that you would be able to prove, I guess, and whether we would encapsulate, I guess we would definitely encapsulate the badge. You could source the badge to the metrics that were tied to the behavior, so anybody could review it, right? And that could all be exposed if we want. That would be pretty, relatively easily done, at least the badge itself, knowing that, oh, this claimed address owns that badge on Den. Okay, the second would be plan to allow user to display ranking or badge on their profile. I think so. That would tie in with what Hype Freak even spoke about with the flags, that things like that were directly intended to be viewable, not only on the person's profile, but anywhere they posted. You would be able to either hover over, click on their little icon or do other things. Since then, after some discussion and a couple of first attempts, I think it's going to be better to not have it consolidated into a flag, not because it wouldn't be nice, but because with the various platforms, it might be kind of hard to get it right and make it so that it's actually easily visible, doesn't get cropped, doesn't get other things happening to it that would make it not work. Whereas instead, if we put across every post the various metrics, if they have badges in this layer type thing, what their economic reputation is, what their content reputation is, maybe even what their evaluation reputation is, things like that, I think would fit this. And some of it, in my opinion, would need to be directly where people are evaluating so they can understand the source. So anyway, okay. So, and let's go. There were a couple of really good further questions, and we didn't have an LCP update. So I'm just going to answer the rest of the questions. Get your popcorn ready asks, many of the move to earn apps or do to earn or play to earn just use the date that they collect from Apple Health Kit or Google. Oh, move to earn. Sorry. For analytics to count your steps. Very simple. Would this data be valuable to Dragonchain in any way? I think it would. I think that for one thing, if although you could fake it, because Dragonchain is very scalable and it would be a predictable cost in transactions, that having proof of movement or other activity or other metrics, even health metrics from that watch on chain would be valuable, because you could prove the data, especially if it's, move to earn, if you're mining tokens or getting something as a reward, you would want to make it harder to fake. And therefore, if you did things that some things would be easy to fake, but it would be hard to fake in a massive amount, and you'd be able to put some level of AI against checking, there's no way that this person is walking 23 hours a day, that type of thing. And the other side would be if they check in with, real world places or meet each other or do other things like that to make it even harder, where there'd be bonuses. There'd be a bunch of neat things you could do probably. And that's all behavior system stuff, but I'd have to brainstorm it. But good question. And next is Distant, who asks a two-part engineering question with a bonus. At what point does it become a priority to add an additional proof interchain? Now, I guess first I would say the way that we would prioritize it is at least in relation to each other. is the chains with the most network power, either through decentralization or node count, or hash power or economic power, which, in the proof of staking, it would be, how much is being applied to that proof of stake network for every block. And if it is proof of work, then it would be how much hash power is being applied for every block. And obviously that's how you would rank them. But the secondary angle is in variety, that to have a proof of work, to have a proof of stake, to have variety in proofs of work chains would be most valuable. And then the last bit, and I don't know if they were ordered, of course, but it would be the measurability, that it's relatively easy to get metrics on the hash power for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it will be probably directly on chain, I do believe, for the proof of stake when Ethereum switches over. How long have we been talking about that? And I keep thinking, has it still really not happened? Or am I, saying something wrong? But anyway, that would be directly on chain, so we'd have a measure there. And then the last part, and probably the most important part, is customer or business want, need, wish, requirements. That if a customer is paying and they want to plug in to a particular chain, any chain, centralized, decentralized, or even for that matter, other system. It could be, an accounting system I want to plug into. Then that is the top driver of priority. Is money on the table, somebody wanting to plug into something, right? Okay. Gosh, that was a long answer. Sorry. Part 2, assuming there was a priority to develop it, what would a Monero interchain offer to Dragonchain customers in addition to standard DC proof systems? I mean, the most obvious thing would be interoperability for payments, if that makes sense. And if somebody wants that they want to automate payments and have an option to send or return or earn in Monero, that you could plug it in very easily there, in a very strong and customizable way. And then you ask, is digital tamper seal a good analogy for DC's proof systems? It seems like there's a big market for tamper seals. I would say so. We can do, how do I say this? There are several ways to handle it. And there most of the interesting pieces about tamper sealing deal with storing an economic value that I don't even need to know who grabbed the value, but if anybody grabbed the value, then that seal is tampered, right? And it's a bounty, so as long as it's enough value, but there's a chance that it's not enough value and maybe it has been tampered, nobody knows it. There are other potentials, and we could build something that would offer some type of trigger that something has been accessed, but it would involve something on store, and it might involve something that would be more of a gray area, that if there's that you'd have to kind of measure and decide for your own business purposes if it looks like this particular piece of data has been exposed or tampered with. So there's some neat stuff you could do there, and potentially, yes, you could use some of the Monero tech to handle that. That might be a really interesting application because of the way that you can handle the data. Now, the funny thing is, Dragonchain, that's probably the big, it's at least one of the features that leads to some of the abilities we have with privacy and otherwise, that we architecturally separate the proof from the payload. So the proof becomes decentralized as fast as it can and as strongly as it can, stronger than any other blockchain network on Earth, because we use other blockchains. And yet the payload can be fully held to chest, centralized. You could decentralize it on your own. You could encrypt it however you like. You could do anything you feel that you need to for your data, and you don't have to worry about it. And it's very similar to the way that Monero is handling those payments, that you can send Monero, and only if you want to can you expose the proof that it was you who sent it, I guess. I've never done it, so I would like to play around with it myself, just don't have time. And is that the last question? That's the last question. Awesome. Great questions. A lot for all. Thanks a bunch. Let us know. I kind of think that we should switch the Super Happy Dragon Lucky over to being a DAO itself, so that people who interact will get a piece of the show where they can help us decide what to do for guests and how we run the show. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. And for now, check out the merch at Dragonchain.store. This is all factor merch until the end of the month, which is what's that, tomorrow? Yes. So you get 10% off with Factor Merch 2022, the code. And in closing, make sure you watch us again next Tuesday, and watch the DENDAO meeting and World Blockchain Roundtable. And follow Dragonchain, Real Denizens, and Jojo Row. Make sure you like, comment, share. Thanks so much. See you next week.
Now, more than ever, our data is at risk. Our supply chains are in jeopardy. Our systems are broken, and businesses feel powerless. Dragonchain gives you a different way, a safer way, a better way, and you have power over your data. Dragonchain gives you proof in an untrusted world. Build now at dragonchain.com. America's blockchain.